Alright, so this is a review for the premiere of Ultimate Spider-Man, which aired on Disney XD, and I have to say that I am completely and utterly disappointed in it. Before I start this review, let me address, I am 27. I do say this occasionally, I am 27. And there are some things that I watched before, besides a lot of superhero cartoons, there are some things I watched, and the tone and the way in which that they incorporate certain interpretations of a character, there are things that even I am too old for. And I think that this show really just reminded me sometimes of how much Marvel has made mistakes in the past and will probably continue making mistakes with things. The presence of the show alone showed how much of a mistake that they made by screwing over Greg Weisman as harshly as they did and canceling Spectacular Spider-Man. Now, on the fortunate side, if that had not happened, we would not have a terrific show in Young Justice. But, just wow. This show managed to be so much worse than the Teen Titans, which I only saw a few episodes of, and I hated it for its constant slapstick and a lot of the immature type scenarios which they incorporated from anime and just tossing it out there as kids. The show, simply put, in all honesty of me, is a clusterfuck. The good stuff I will get out of the way about it. Discluding the guy voicing Spider-Man, a lot of the voice acting in the show is pretty well done for what I've seen of it. And the character designs are actually not that bad. I especially enjoyed the Ultimate designs, which semi-recalled Mark Bagley's artwork and managed to be included into this animation, most especially in the designs of Peter Parker, Aunt May, Norman Osborn, and Harry Osborn. But, the addition of Thundra, which was a fresh inclusion into the Frightful Four, that was fun. But that's about all the good that this show has going on with it. One of the things that this show suffers from is that it's called Ultimate Spider-Man, and I'm saying this based entirely upon the first two episodes. This show is called Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man in these first two episodes still managed to get outshined by everyone around him. I'm watching a kid's version of Blade Trinity here. And the humor in this show is so much more worse than what Teen Titans ever thought about being. Especially with a writer like Paul Dini, who has a terrific caliber. He wrote many episodes of Batman the Animated Series, but I kind of feel like somebody was standing over his shoulder and telling him what to write with this. The show cannot go 5 seconds without having some type of a silly montage. This is much more so than Teen Titans. I felt like Marvel only allowed, for a 30-minute show, Paul Dini to write maybe 10 minutes worth of material. The additional 20 was spent on humor, and if we're not breaking off into silly and immature humor, we're breaking off into constant references to the Avengers. Because, you know, in case people forget, sometimes this happens. We have this movie coming out next month, the Avengers, you might have heard of them. Iron Man, Captain America, and we have some references in there. And kids sometimes might need reminding. I would say shoving down their throats, but sometimes they need reminding of going and bugging their parents about, hey, there's this movie coming out next month. The Avengers, they have Iron Man and they have Captain America. Please let me go see it. Please buy me some Avengers merchandise. That's pretty much what this show is doing. Now, people could say that, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, since they've incorporated Cap's Ultimate design in there and the movie version of Thor's armor in there, are kind of doing that, but then that show is centered on the Avengers, and I can feel like it can get away with it. And with this show being, as I said, upon first impressions, the worst interpretation of Spider-Man that I've ever seen, this still goes to show that Marvel can make a lot of mistakes. By their canceling of Spectacular Spider-Man and just the level of immaturity that this show has by treating Peter Parker as a schizophrenic 6-year-old, and never minding the additions of the teenage versions of Iron Fist and Power Man, and even 2 more random characters which they pulled out of their asses in Nova and White Tiger. I mean, seriously, White Tiger. Never thought I would see that coming up in this. In all honesty, Marvel Studios has just reminded me about why they made mistakes a lot of times with certain shows and a lot of what they do in comic books. Never mind the fact that they're also copying DC by having an animation block on there, and possibly, hey, we'll even include some shorts later on, because, you know what, I know this is just going to happen. A lot of Marvel's decisions have been taking a lot of the characters that we've known and loved throughout the years and putting them to hell in a handbasket, and watching this show was pretty much what was making the sandwiches. If you're a Spider-Man fan, I would not recommend this, because you're going to be immensely disappointed at how much they detract from the character of Peter Parker. The whole idea of Peter Parker was to be sort of a midway relation point of people to Peter Parker and understand the struggles of what it's like to try and balance a busy life and be a teenager in a just completely crazy world. And this version of the show has robbed that character of so much. Now, there is a little bit of Peter Parker in this show, but in all honesty, when it comes down to it at the end of it, I don't think that this show would last well in my eyes. I'm not going to be surprised if they manage to hang on to this. I mean, look, Marvel managed to hang on to Iron Man Armored Adventures, and even worse still, Iron Man Armored Adventures appealed to me more than what this show did. So, that's really all I have to say about that. I really don't think I'm going to be seeing myself stick with this show for the rest of it.